Dan Forrester is not your ordinary guy. He doesn't want to settle for just a normal life. He wants to do something that will change the world. He believes that getting a job at an army research facility will help him do just that. However, when he doesn't get the job, he gets pretty discouraged that he will never get to make a real difference, until later that day when he is watching a football game that is interrupted by people from the future asking for their help in an alien war that will destroy all of humanity in 30 years. The people of the present agree to help the people of the future through a draft. If a person gets drafted, he or she must participate in a 7-day tour during which they go to the future. If they survive the 7 days, they can then return home to the present. Everything changes around Dan, but he tries to keep a sense of normalcy in his classroom at school, until one day when he is drafted to go to the future. Will he survive? Ripe Apples. The movie has some good lessons in it that are important to learn. Dan wants to do big things, but he learns that fighting for his family and providing for them is already a big thing that he can do. He doesn't have to save the world to mean something. We see Dan care about his family, and hence he goes to war despite wanting to get out of it. The main good lesson we see involves Dan's father, James. James abandoned the family after returning from the Vietnam War, considering himself dangerously unstable. He never got to meet his granddaughter because Dan was upset for him leaving them. However, James shows that he is willing to sacrifice everything for his family, and by the end of the movie, he finally gets to meet his granddaughter, which is very touching scene. Rotten Apples. The violence in this film is extreme. This film deserves an R rating. Many people are thrown around by these aliens and limbs are chewed off and eaten. Many people are seen shooting these monsters and blowing them to bits that we see very graphically. We see the monsters secrete a lot of yellow goo, which is their blood. We also see some monsters shoot projectiles to kill humans. Some of the monsters disintegrate very graphically after being injected with a toxin. We see a lot of blood and death. Some explosions are also seen. I recommend that only people 17 and up watch this film. A few women are seen wearing tops that show some cleavage. Dan is shirtless in one scene. A couple is seen kissing. We see some drinking in a couple scenes. We hear a lot of language in this film. The words mostly include ass, damn, and hell. Each of these words is used like 8 to 10 times. We hear multiple uses of the S word. One person says this word about 40 times in a row. We hear multiple uses of the Lord's name in vain. The F-bomb is used once. We hear a few uses of other words such as the B word. Additional thoughts. This film feels like a time travel version of Pacific Rim. There are monsters that are hidden on Earth somewhere, and the good guys have to destroy where the monsters come from to protect the world from them. The movie's plot is definitely well thought out, and it's a shame this movie didn't go to theaters. J.K. Simmons and Chris Pratt really nail their roles as father and son, and the film has some good lessons as well as a lot of action for those who love a thrill. This movie definitely is not for those that don't like gore, thrill, and action, as it gets very intense in some scenes. Conclusion. In conclusion, this film is full of action and suspense, and the plot is very good. While some people may find it too violent for themselves, a lot of people I think would really enjoy this film. The two main things to be concerned about is the violence and the language. Other than that, watch as Dan and his team fight to save the future and defend the planet,